we don't go into the live thing until the 5:01 or something.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, last time people told me my microphone volume was insufficient. Is that indeed the case?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, me as well. What about me?
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, everybody's loud and clear.
We are live, I think. You can check on your side, guys.
Yeah, I'm receiving a message on my phone that we're live. So
Okay, so I'll see if anybody is joining. Probably not yet because we're a couple of minutes ahead. Let me check on the second computer how to. Yes, okay, guys, we are live and we have already growing amounts of people. So I believe we can begin in 4 minutes. Those of us who have already joined, enjoy the Christmas spirit with the benchmark, and I'll finish my tea. Stefan, so last time, remember my humongous cup? No, it wasn't. It was Jourik, not you. So
yeah,
this time, Jourik, check this out.
nobody is perfect.
Nobody's
Very
perfect.
Oh, that's a great mark. Yeah.
I'm doing the world champions.
Oh. I have just water, so I'm pretty
Same thing. Glass of water.
pretty basic. Yeah.
Okay. 31 people online so far. Because it's too early for the real stream to start, so let's give it another 3 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen online, send us your greetings. I'm going to switch off the sound on my second computer where I'm monitoring the chat. Today I'm the master of ceremonies. We have a hello from Anna Laura Emilia, a hello from Russia Abu Taleb. Stefan is already on the chat, so we are kicking it off. The topic today would be boys and toys. We have more people joining. Perfect. 2 minutes to go, so we're not starting yet. I will open up the screen.
You're just trying to get Martin more nervous.
Of course, it's my main task. Okay, that should be visible.
Mm-hmm.
Already more than 40 people online. Out of 270 registered, Stefan, how many do you think will be prime time?
150.
150. It's optimistic. Let's say 100.
At least 100 for sure.
Okay.
You owe me a second beer if we go over 100. How's that?
Maybe we trade it back if we go.
No. The first one stands. That's the way it works.
Okay. So you just want to have a collection, different beers by Konstantin. Actually, if you come to Prague, there's a number of beer museums which offer beer tastings, and you can have between 8 and 50 different tastes of beer in one place in one evening.
Awesome.
Did you say 50 or 15?
50. There's a place which offers
Oh.
50. I never tried.
Pretty common thing in Belgium.
So it's not unique. Okay. Here I was thinking Prague is such a great place with unique stuff. All right, it's 5 o'clock. It's prime time, and ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to start. Today's topic is comparing new Google's Gemini versus old news GPT4 for Turbo from OpenAI for localization needs. And with me today, we have a great crew of gentlemen, and I will allow the gentlemen to introduce themselves. First let's go with you, Jourik. Jourik and Martin are today chairing the engineering chair. Jourik, the floor is yours. What would you like to tell the audience about yourself?
Thank you, Konstantin. Hi, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Jourik Ciesielski. I have a couple of responsibilities in the language industry, and my main responsibility is my position as the CTO for Yamagata Europe. Apart from my position as CTO, I also run my own company called CJ International, under which or for which I do consulting, engineering, and market research.
And this is our second collaboration this fall in this spectacular LinkedIn lifestyle.
Exactly. Yeah.
Welcome. Martin, what would you like to say to kick off your connaissance with the audience? You told me it's your first time speaking in public, so everybody give some cheers on LinkedIn to Martin. Martin?
Yeah, thanks, Konstantin. Hello, everyone. I'm Martin. I have joined Custom.MT as a localization engineer / developer a few months ago, and it has been a hell of a ride, building all sorts of automations, portals, and playing a lot with GPT models, including GPT4 and the newly announced Gemini. So looking forward to sharing some outcomes of that.
I'm looking at LinkedIn Live, and it's all full of applause and support emojis. People love it when somebody new comes to the stage, not the old faces like me and Stefan, but somebody who has something to say but hasn't said this before. This is amazing to have you here. Now,
Thank you.
Stefan, you and I are all old news. Let's get introduced.
Yeah, I'll keep it very short. I got the message. People know me most of the time. So I'm Stefan Huyghe. I'm Vice President of Localization at Communicate. I also am the host of the AI and Loc newsletter, and I host Loc discussions. And I have my own content solve consultancy that deals in content for localization. So that's it.
Great to have you here. It's thanks to your efforts that we have so many people registered, and the latest headcount online is almost 90 people. So we're here represented in strength, the localization industry.
Awesome.
Many people are interested to see how these two parrots are going to fight. And why parrots? This refers to an influential paper, scientific paper, which calls large language models stochastic parrots. Stochastic is a word that means that you can statistically predict what they're going to say, but you cannot guarantee what's going to happen. And parrots is because they are kind of an autocomplete. They repeat what is in the database just to differentiate from them really being AGI, which can think ahead many moves. Whether they're stochastic parrots or our new overlords we're going to see today, I'm going to walk you through the rules of today's fight. Jourik will lead the text benchmarks in Vertex AI, where Gemini became available yesterday. And Jourik, are you using for OpenAI? Are you using OpenAI Playground, or are you using a script?
The demos for OpenAI will be held in a set of Python scripts.
So you'll have this matrix kind of environment on one hand, and
a very cool interface on the other, but everything will be explained into detail.
So perhaps I could maybe show how this looks like, but a bit later. So we have 4 tests with Jourik, and then Martin will lead the image tests, where we will combine the ability of the models to work with text and with images. And I encourage our ladies and gentlemen on LinkedIn Live to provide your suggestions what to test. As you can see here, we want to make them translate, edit text, extract terminology, assure quality, look at a screenshot and detect localization issues, and look at the website and see if it's good enough for a specific country, for a global experience. If you have some other use case that you would like to put forward, let us know. We'd prefer to run it in 40 minutes, maybe a bit more, a bit less. But if you have a really interesting use case, let's add it to the stack. Now, the rules of today's benchmark club is you do not talk about the benchmark club. The idea is, the real rules are that we can tweak the prompts if something goes wrong, because things sometimes are off, and these models are not 100% predictable. And we allow up to 3 iterations with the prompt to make it work. And the temperature setting on the model from Google and from OpenAI must be equal. We'll not have the time today to benchmark it in a very scientific way. So Stefan, would you like to take the tally of the points, right? So 1 point for useful result, 1 point for instructions follow to the letter, 1 point if there are no artifacts, and if the audience and the experts like it, it's an extra 1 point. Would you like to keep?
We'll keep meticulous track, yes.
Okay, excellent. That's terrific. Voila, and then we'll have some voting on Slido. Before we proceed, Jourik, to you, I would like to show how professional benchmarking is happening right now. So one of the most famous or authoritative resources is the leaderboard from Hugging Face, where it's recalculated quite often. There's a number of benchmarks which models are to accomplish, but none of these benchmarks are tailored towards multilingualism or localization. Right? So you get points, and the leaderboard tracks the average across different benchmarks. I don't know, like academic exams, reasoning, understanding of infographics, and so on. We don't yet have a professional technical localization benchmark. I think this is a good lacuna to fill if there is a daring developer in our field. This is something where a person can make a name for themselves right now. If we'll have the resources, we'll do it. If somebody else does, we'll probably piggyback onto that. For today, it's more like a play exercise, because Gemini has been released just yesterday, and we're coming up very, very fast after to play test it and to see how it's going. Jourik, you'll probably show how very similar the environments are from Google and from OpenAI. These are the environments very familiar to any developer on OpenAI. It's practically the same thing, with some interesting new capabilities inside Vertex AI, inside Google, where you can have this Gemini Pro model, the medium tier model distilled for performance. The new thing is that it supports vision, speech, and multimodal capabilities out of the box here, and you can upload the screenshots. I guess Jourik and Martin will guide you through all that. Hope this is all for the introduction. Again, I've been speaking too long. Jourik, take it from here, and let's begin. Sound of the gong, ding.
Thank you, Konstantin. Let me share my screen, and let's rock and roll. Okay, so for the part where we're going to work with text, let me first of all describe the scenario, because we need a very well-defined scenario to carry out these exercises. So we're going to work in a situation where our client is a healthcare company, We're going to work with a bit of content, and we have to do specific tasks with that content. What do we have? We have a piece of source content. We have an existing translation into French of that source content. We have a style guide, and we have a glossary. What are we going to do? We're going to execute 4 tasks. We're going to translate the source content in accordance with the style guide and the glossary. We're going to automatically post-edit the existing translation that we have in French. I'm sorry for the people who don't speak French. We're going to extract a couple of terms from the source content, and we're going to run an automated linguistic quality assurance check on the translation, on the existing translation in French. Let me quickly guide you through the content. It's very limited. It's just a couple of sentences. And the examples are also very, very obvious. And we do have a couple of very good reasons for that. First of all, we want this to be accessible for everyone. So even for the people who are not yet too familiar with generative AI and large language models, I guess we have those people in the room. We want it to be accessible for you as well. Second, we want to demonstrate the changes implemented by the LLM clearly. And if we would be working with 100 sentences, it would be difficult to identify the real changes, the real impact from the LLM. And number 3, if we're going to process a lot of data, we increase the risk of technical issues, which we cannot have in a session like today's session. So let's have a look at the source text that we're going to work with. It's healthcare. So from monitoring vital signs to collaborating with surgeons and gynecologists, nurses serve as the heartbeat of patient care. Their days are a symphony of medication administration, where collaboration with pharmacists ensures the seamless orchestration of healing. In the modern era, nurses navigate the digital landscape, employing tools like the blood pressure tracker app to empower patients with personalized health insights and guidance. ChatGPT wrote this for me, and I guess a lot of you will have noticed that already. Let's have a look at our style guide. It's very clear, it's very straightforward. The topic is gender inclusivity. So our translations need to be gender inclusive. So you avoid masculine pronouns wherever possible. It is a best practice to rework personal pronouns into other alternatives, such as place descriptions. For example, don't say book an appointment with your gynecologist. Instead, say book an appointment in your gynecology practice. When using epicene words is not possible, so words that can have characteristics of both sexes. When it's not possible, you use a midpoint or point médian, for example, chirurgien, chirurgienne. Never assume that certain titles apply to men or women only. For example, a nurse is not always a woman. We have a glossary, a very basic glossary, only 2 terms. We want the term app to be translated as appli in French, and we want the term blood pressure tracker to be translated as suivi de la pression sanguine et des battements cardiaques, which is literally translated as blood pressure and heartbeat tracker. So a very specific translation for this term. And then we have an existing translation. I'm not going to read it out loud. I just want you to know that it's a good translation. There's nothing wrong with it, but there are errors against the style guide and against the glossary. We have tons of masculine pronouns in this translation, which we do not want. And our term blood pressure tracker, for example, is left untranslated, which needs to be corrected as well. So we have a bit of work to do. That being said, let's start with the first use case, which is running augmented machine translation. So we're going to use an LLM to run the translation for us, and we want the LLM to take the style guide and the glossary into account. Let's have a look at the prompting that we're going to apply. So for GPT-4, we're going to start with a system prompt, which says you are an English into French translator who specializes in healthcare translations. You respect instructions defined in style guides and apply terminology specified in glossaries. Then we have the assistant. You must use gender inclusive language by following the instructions in this style guide. And then we read the style guide in the code. Another assistant prompt, you must apply the terminology from the following glossary into your translations in a grammatically correct manner. And then we read the glossary. And then we have the user who asks the model to translate the following text into French, taking into account the style guide and the terminology. And then we read the source text. So let's jump to PyCharm, which is where I will be running the code. I have a project for GPT4. I have a script for augmented translation. I have a folder with my reference materials. And I have a source folder where I have my source text, healthcare.txt, and my existing translation into French. So we're going to start with step number 1, which is the augmented translation using style guides and glossaries. We're going to run that script. And if everything goes well, we will see a message saying that my translation is ready. And then we can have a look.
If everything goes well.
If everything goes well. And this is such a challenging thing to do with a technology that is so unpredictable. But there we are. Please find your translation here. I have an output folder in my project. Here it is. And I have a file that says augmentedtranslation.txt. Let me open it up in something that is a little bit nicer to read. Let me format this a little bit for you. Toggle word wrap.
Am I calling the first use case augmented translation?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do we see? We have the translation of surgeon, which is beautifully adapted in accordance with the style guide. We have the term gynecologists, which has not been adapted in accordance with the style guide, but you could defend the choice to not do it, right? It's a job title. Patients has been adapted in accordance with the style guides, but I'm not sure whether it's really necessary to do so. So this might be overkill. Who knows? What else do we have?
Maybe Macron would disagree. You know, he recently
Maybe Macron would disagree.
Spoke about that.
We have pharmacists, pharmacien, pharmacienne. The style guide has been applied to this. And if we have a look at our term blood pressure tracker, we have suivi de la pression sanguine et des battements cardiaques, which means that the glossary has been applied correctly as well. Thank you very much, GPT4. I think you did a good job, maybe a little bit of overkill. This is up to the linguist to decide. But the impact of the LLM has been proven in this use case.
So we have 5 categories. I just want to keep score and put in the right scores here. Can you give me the points that you're assigning it?
So let's have a look. The result is useful. So 1 point, followed all instructions. Jourik, did we see it following all the instructions?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say so. No artifacts, so nothing extra, nothing like comments, suggestions, explanations, so some omissions maybe. We had one issue, right? So gynécologue, I think.
That's right.
So we're giving that a 0. The no artifacts gets a 0.
What would you say, Jourik?
There are no artifacts.
Okay, let's give it 3, and then the last points about voting will come later. Let's run the second model now.
Okay. GPT4, that was it. I'm going to run the exact same prompt in Gemini, but the difference here is that everything is written out. So the source text, the glossary, the style guide, everything is written out literally in this prompt. But that's what I need to do if I want to use Vertex, because I haven't worked with the API yet. There we go. The whole shebang into my prompt field. And we're going to ask Vertex AI to do the exact same thing.
And let's hope it works.
There we go. What do we see? Surgeons has been adapted. Gynecologists has been adapted. Nurses.
Hold on. Gynecologue, and press, and then again. Is that right?
This is not right. This is a mistake.
This is a mistake. Da-dang.
This is a mistake. There you go. What else?
The nurses are all right, right? We need more French people in our LinkedIn Live to comment on this. If somebody is a native French speaker, not acquired like me or Jourik, are you native or acquired?
I'm acquired, not native.
Okay, so
And
we're looking
so am I.
forward to your comments. So, what else is happening here?
You can also argue about the way the adaptation goes, but it has been adapted. So this looks okay. So here the style guide has been taken into account. That looks okay. And then we have our term, blood pressure tracker suivi de la pression sanguine et des battements cardiaques, which has been applied properly as well. So I think we have more or less the same results, but we do have a clear mistake in Gemini.
There is an artifact. That's what
you could call this an artifact. That's right. That's
so
right.
Give it 2
So
points
I'm giving
for now.
2 points, and we're giving it a 0 for the artifacts.
No, I mean we give it. It's a full useful result. It's 1 for fulfilling all the requirements, and then for the artifacts we don't give it a point. So it's lower than GPT at the moment. Now, ladies and gentlemen in the chat, what do you prefer here? Do you prefer the result from Gemini or GPT4? Perhaps, Jourik, you can show them side by side. Who won? I think we'll have time to run maybe 3 text benchmarks. I was very optimistic about 40 minutes, as usual. Okay, the people on LinkedIn Live are showing thumbs up, but they are not showing whether they like Gemini or GPT-4 more. Please write it in the comments, or you know what, we can maybe run a voting. Stefan, do you think we can run a voting now?
I can't see what's going on in the live, so I'm not sure.
Let's move on with the benchmarks first. We'll come back to this later.
Yeah. I'm keeping track of our scoring
among
for sure.
the experts, among us, do we vote for Vertex here or for GPT-4?
GPT-4, because of the mistake in Vertex.
Okay.
I would say the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agree.
All right. So that's a win for OpenAI. Let's try the second thing.
Let's go for the second one. So the second one is the automated post editing. So we're going to take our source text, we're going to take our existing translation, which is good, but it has the errors against the style guide and the glossary. And we're going to ask both Gemini and GPT-4 to post edit it in accordance with the style guide and the glossary. So let's do that in our Python project. Run the automated PE script. Same thing here. If everything goes well, a message will be printed on the screen saying that we have something. There we go. Please find your post-edited file here. Let's have a look. Here it is, post-edit.txt. Let me format this a little bit for you. And let's have a look. Here looks like we have something similar, right? Chirurgien has been adapted, gynécologue not, but I'm already seeing something that's very, very interesting. We're not referring to the nurses directly anymore, but now we're using here le personnel infirmier, which basically means the nursing staff, right? Which is something that we didn't see in the direct translation, but this is an even better application of what has been specified in the style guide. So this is very, very good according to me.
So
Stefan,
it's a kudos point. It's like
this is a plus. This is +1, definitely.
Okay.
Here we have nurses again, has been adapted accordingly. We have the same thing with pharmacists, by the way, le personnel en pharmacie. So no direct reference to pharmacists anymore, the pharmacy staff. So a second application that is very, very good, very successful. And then the last thing, our term suivi de la pression sanguine et des battements cardiaques has been applied to perfection as well. So this looks very well. This looks even better than the direct translation, according to me.
That was a post-editing effort, right?
This is the post-editing. This has been post-edited.
I can see where it's going already. Stefan, what do you think?
Yeah, I can see where it's going as well. I've given the full score here. The only score I'm not giving is the audience preference because I can't see that.
We'll vote on this. We'll probably vote on this in the end so that we can save time and do more of it right now. Let's try if see if Gemini Pro can put up a fight.
Okay, exact same thing. Exact same prompt, but everything written out. There we go. Copy and paste that into Gemini. And here we go. Okay, let's have a quick look. Surgeons has been adapted. Gynecologue not. Nurses has been adapted, but we do not have the adaptation like GPT4 did. That is a very important remark here. Pharmacists has been adapted. That looks okay. Nurses has been adapted again. That looks okay as well. And let's have a look at our term. Suivi de la pression sanguine des battements cardiaques has been applied to perfection as well. So Gemini did exactly what we wanted it to do. You can argue about the gynecologue, but I think in terms of style, I'm just going to give my judgment right away. I think in terms of style, GPT-4 did a little bit better than Gemini.
You're just a fanboy.
No. This is open for discussion. This is open for discussion.
Okay. You know what? Let's run the first voting now on this first exercise. Now I'll flip the screen and show Slido to our colleagues. So, ladies and gentlemen, slido.com, please. The code is GVG, Gemini versus GPT-4 for lock. I'm starting the poll. So let's see what happens.
You know, we're voting twice, once for augmented translation and once for
just for this first, exercise with style.
Both, right? Yeah.
So let's give it a minute. Martin, what do you think of the results so far? I know you carry other foreign languages.
Yeah, it's quite hard to for me to judge between these two models, but as Jourik explained, it's quite clear to me that GPT is doing a bit better job than the Gemini in certain things. So I think that the GPT quality is a bit better for in these, at least in these use cases.
Okay. Interesting to know. We have some votes at the moment. 0 votes for Gemini. I'm sorry for it's a harsh welcome into the world, Gemini. Overwhelming for GPT. It's probably due to Jurik's priming, and some say neither. It's probably the people who know French.
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be quite interesting to hear what are the reasons why the people are voting for neither. What are they missing in the output?
In a LinkedIn Live chat, I can see Eric commented that they do not sound native, so they feel like it's a draw. It's a bit robotic. All right, let's forge on. We're 30 minutes in. So Jourik, I suggest we do one more text benchmark. Which one would you like to do?
Let's maybe do LQA because that's more representative with the translation that we have. Okay, there we go. Let me get rid of the prompt in Vertex. Let me go to the LQA. There we go. Maybe a quick summary of the prompts. You are an English into French translation specialist who runs quality checks in accordance, as always, with style guides and terminologies. You check translations for style errors. You check translations for terminology errors. Style is a major error. Terminology is a critical error. And here we actually indicate the format that we want for the reporting. You first indicate whether it's a style or a terminology error, then you indicate whether it's a major or a critical error, and then you describe the error. For example, right? We give one example here, which is an example of the one-shot prompting technique, and we really need it in this case if we want the output to be in accordance with our needs and our wishes. We give it the original English text, and we give it the translation without the modifications implemented by the LLM. So the one with the masculine pronouns and the terminology error. Let's go to our project, lqa.py.
It's so scary when somebody with engineering expertise comes and shows people Python instead of a normal UI. I knew you wanted to achieve this effect. This is all intentional.
Well, this is because I had been working on these cases already. So I could recycle many of the things that I had already done.
That's what we all say.
There we go. Let's have a look at the output. We should have something that says lqa.txt now. Let's have a look. Let's format this a little bit. There we go. Style error, major. The translation Les infirmières assumes that all nurses are women. According to the style guide, gender neutral language should be used. The corrected version could be Les infirmières to include both genders. This looks pretty nice, right? Number 2, terminology error critical. The term blood pressure tracker app has not been translated in accordance with the glossary. The correct translation should be l'appli suivi, blah, 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 which is correct, which is accurate, right? My first impression is les infirmières has been highlighted, nurses, but there's no sign of the pharmacists, there's no sign of the surgeons, there's no sign of the gynecologists. So I think we're missing out on a couple of errors in our translation, which have not been reported by OpenAI, by GPT-4.
So we'll give it a point for useful result.
Yeah.
We will not give it a point for all instructions met.
Yeah.
And what about the artifacts?
Well, this is something that I have not requested at all. The corrected translation should read, I do not want this. It's interesting, but I do not want it, right? I didn't ask for it. So I think this is something that lowers the score for GPT-4.
Do you want to tweak the prompt to eliminate this, or we just not award a point?
I would like to adjust the prompt, but maybe we might be running out of time if I start doing that.
Let's not award the point right now. Take that GPT-4.
Okay. Let's move on.
We just have 1 point, 1 point for producing
1 point only.
Results. Okay.
Okay, exact same prompts for Gemini, but everything written out. There we go. Do we have everything in there? Yeah, we do. Submit. Oh.
Oh, that's everything?
That's everything.
Wow.
That's everything. This is all we get from Gemini. Terminology, critical term, blood pressure trackers.
Why don't you adjust the prompt? Let's give it a chance. Ask it to provide a bullet point list, maybe. Introduce an instruction for a bullet point list. Let's tweak it.
Go over all the sentences in the text and list the results in bullet points.
Let's try like that.
That's, yeah, this looks better. Style error major. The masculine pronoun le has been used to refer to nurses, which is not in accordance with the style guide. This is not true. This is not accurate. I mean, it's true, but it's not accurate. This doesn't make sense. This doesn't
Okay.
make sense. The
So
personal, yeah,
not a useful result.
no. The personal pronoun leur has been used to refer to nurses, which is not in accordance with the style guide. Same thing. This looks like something that goes towards an hallucination. This is really making up some stuff to give me something.
So how does it go? I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Something like that. Something like that.
Okay.
So
how
would
we
we
let's-
agree as experts that the GPT-4 result was better than the Gemini result?
It was not good enough, but
Yeah.
it
But
was
still better.
Still
I think.
better,
ah,
but not good
okay.
enough. Not good enough, that's for sure.
Okay, let's flip the table and go to the visual benchmarks. And then if we have time, we'll come back and do the fourth text benchmark together.
No worries.
Thanks, Jourik. Okay, Martin.
Okay.
Rough.
Let me share my screen. Ooh. I hope you can see my screen and I can start. So I have prepared a few benchmarks on the image processing of the models. The first one will be localization testing. I have prepared a screenshot of our custom empty console registration form with one button being translated into Czech. You don't need to understand what it says, but it says login to our beautiful tool. But as you can see, the length of the button overflows the card, the green card over there. So I have introduced some localization testing bug, let's say, and I will ask Gemini and GPT4 if there are some localization testing issues. On the right is the GPT4. Their playground doesn't allow you to upload the image and ask something on the image, but the Vertex AI does. So I will be having this split screen. Hope that you will see everything right. So I will insert the screenshot to both of them. And I have prepared the first prompt, which is that the model is a software tester who can scan localized software applications, and the task is to check the screenshot for errors and bugs and describe the problems. I will insert the prompt to both of those, and hit submit, and we can see the response of the Vertex AI at the bottom and GPT at the right. And we can compare the output of them side by side. As you can see, the Vertex AI Gemini model is a bit faster than the GPT-4, but we can see that the output length of the GPT is much higher. The question is all of this necessary and relevant? Maybe so, maybe not. But the prompt was to check for the bugs and describe the problems. So the Gemini model kept it short, but the output is not that relevant, because you can see it says that the texts themselves were not translated, but that's what not I asked. I asked if there are any localization testing issues.
It's arguable.
Yeah.
From my point of view. Jourik, what do you think?
I'm actually, if I were a localization tester, I would be more satisfied with what Gemini is giving me. You know, it's to the point, you know, not too much words, just it gives me what I need, and I can work with this. Regardless of what the contents of the testing result is, but I'm more happy about the result that Gemini has produced.
Mm-hmm. So maybe I can change a bit the prompt, so we can
Okay.
see a bit different result. I will change the prompt to be just list any localization testing layout issues with the following image as a numbered list. So that's to the point, nothing fancy. And we can see what will be the output of the models. Maybe GPT4 has a better result this time. So the Gemini model outputs that the text authorized is not centered. Well, I think it is, but okay. The text fields are not aligned, and so on and so on. So I think that this response is not that relevant compared to the GPT one that says that the text is overflowing. This is the bug that I introduced manually to the screenshot. So it finds that right from the spot, and then it says that there is a inconsistent language. Some texts are in English, and some texts are in Czech, and the rest of the texts are untranslated. So we can see that
very convincing. Stefan, what's your opinion?
Well, I'm actually trying to decipher the points here as you guys are chatting away about this, because it seems like your preferences for Gemini, but my criterion are not quite aligning with what you're commenting on. So I'd like to know from you guys what the point scores are. I think we have image processing one and then the secondary one.
Mhm.
And I need to know whether I'm giving a point for useful results, following all instructions, no artifacts.
It looks obvious that GPT-4 is the winner.
Yeah.
It looks pretty obvious.
Yes, but what about the criteria, right? We are
Yeah.
primed to think it's a winner, so we're more inclined psychologically to give it higher points on our criteria. So let's go by the criteria. Is the result useful on both sides? Is the result on the left useful?
No, because it didn't catch the major bug.
Yeah.
Okay, so result not useful. Instructions, have all instructions been met?
That's on Gemini, I'm giving a 0 score there, right?
Yeah.
I think the all instructions from the prompt have been met. Let's give it at least a 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Well, perfect. So 1 for the Gemini, and is it like 3 out of 3 technical points for GPT, or less?
I think so. Yeah, it seems that it hit all the points. The list is numbered, but I would maybe deduce a point because it introduces some artifacts at the bottom and at the top of the output.
Okay, so let's give 2 to GPT-4 and 1 to Gemini.
Yeah, agree.
Okay, and the second, let's run the second benchmark with visual.
Yeah, so the second one, I have just prepared a screenshot of a Coca-Cola website, which has been localized into Portuguese, I believe. Yeah, I think it's Portuguese. So this is just a screenshot of the website. And the task, there are also 2 prompts. We can go one by one. But the first one is that the model is a professional with experience in website localization and internationalization. And the task is to check if the website on the screenshot is culturally suitable for the target market. So that is quite interesting thing to test out on the models. So I will insert the images and let me copy the prompt. So the task is to check if the website on the screenshot is suitable, but I haven't specified any anything to model to have a structure of the output. And as you can see, Gemini got some result and GPT-4 didn't. So maybe I'll rerun the prompt again on the GPT side. And GPT doesn't want to give something.
Maybe it feels because it's culturally suitable, there might be something of a sensitive matter. What if we remove the word culturally from the GPT from prompt?
Let's see. Oh,
there we go.
Yeah. On the third try, it got something. So let us get back to Gemini. It says it is culturally suitable. It's in Portuguese, and the texts are and the images are culturally relevant for Portugal. And it's noticed that there is a Santa Claus, and it says it is wearing traditional Portuguese outfit, which is, I don't believe that's true. So that's interesting. So what are the criteria we discussed?
If the result is useful, if all the instructions are met, and if there are any artifacts.
So I think 2 out of 3, right? Because I don't think that Santa Claus is wearing traditional Portuguese outfit on this screenshot.
Okay. It doesn't seem like they wear this type of clothes all year round in Portugal.
Yeah.
But somebody from Portugal, perhaps in the chat, could tell us more. What about the GPT answer? We do have some artifacts, which is...
I'm just giving a point for it to follow all the instructions, but it doesn't get a point for useful results or a point because it doesn't have artifacts.
There are no artifacts, so I think 2 out of 3.
The prompt is quite short, I must say. If we used a long, detailed prompt with lots of instructions, perhaps it would have been a different outcome. Is there something else on the GPT we can see, like 0.4, or I think it doesn't end there. There we see some translation, right? So this is very interesting, right? Because it's read the text in the image and translated it and understood it.
Yeah, so it knows how to OCR the screenshot itself, and it translates it back to English, so you can understand what the text means actually on the screenshot, even though you might not know Portuguese. So this is quite useful to have as a person that doesn't speak Portuguese but wants to know something about the text and the website itself.
Looks like the answer from GPT is significantly better if you keep scrolling, but we didn't provide we didn't get it from the first attempt. I wonder what happened there.
Yeah, this was the attempt number 3, so maybe some -1 point for technical problems.
Okay,
I also have a serious problem with the first answer, you know, the number 1 in the GPT output. It says that it caters to both Brazil and Portugal. I mean, if you're serious about localization, you know that that's not true. That's just bad advice.
Yeah. Yeah, you are correct.
Let's vote. Let's have our audience say. Again, slido.com, GVG for lock. And let us know who you think is the winner. I think we're at 50 minutes. So if you gentlemen are game, we can conclude here, or we can run maybe if there is a request from the audience or a question or suggestion, we can run one from the audience. While they are voting, I'll check the chat and Stefan, perhaps you can keep up the conversation and
yeah, I can talk about some of the results that are coming out here. I'm plugging the last results in. It's a tie right now between GPT and Gemini. So that
get that.
has changed a little bit. Oh, no, GPT is pulling ahead.
Yeah. What is the current tally on our voting, Stefan?
So I haven't plugged in the audience preference yet. The one score that I'm missing is our expert preference on the first image and the second image. Yuri, I think you preferred Gemini on the first image, right? Is that correct or not?
I like the format of the response better than the one from GPT. It was just too lengthy. But I didn't really look at the text content wise, but the format, I liked it a lot better than what GPT produced.
Well, you only get to give one. We only get to give 1 point as experts, so to speak. So, do we give the preference to Gemini on the first image and GPT on the second image?
Yeah, I say Gemini for the first one, GPT for the second one.
Yeah, totally agree with you, Jourik.
And then as far as the audience is concerned, do we have a vote? Yes.
Yeah, we have a vote, and it's for OpenAI.
So, but it's quite interesting to see that Gemini has such a number of votes, because in the first test, the Gemini was at the bottom with just few percent. So it seems that Gemini, at least in these use cases, did a bit better with the vision model. So
yeah,
that's a tie.
Yeah, look at this.
Not anymore.
It's still a fight. People are voting. Okay. There's a few things.
You want me to share my screen real quick to give you the overview?
Please go ahead.
All right, hold on.
I know you have a huge screen, so when you share it, like takes all the space.
Well, I have a small screen too, so hopefully, can you see my small screen now?
Yay.
Yeah.
So it's more or less a clear win for GPT-4.
Yeah, it looks.
It seems so. Yeah.
Okay, well, the revolution didn't happen, but we have some very interesting comments from the chat. That Gemini, Luke Spear from the UK says that Gemini will be more broadly useful if it's rolled out into Google Docs and Sheets and Calendar, right? So it can become it's quite powerful, right? Maybe it loses. Maybe we didn't find the right prompts for it, because it could be that we are used to prompting GPT-4 and not used to prompting Gemini. So more playing and familiarization with technology is required. And then because it's going to be ubiquitous in Google products, it might be used more than OpenAI in the future.
I think the fact that, it's so brand new, released yesterday, whereas GPT-4 has had a couple of iterations already, it's a lot more mature. So the fact that Gemini, that we can benchmark it against GPT-4 means that it's good technology.
I agree. And it will be quite interesting to see what Gemini Ultra has come to offer in the next year when they release it. We'll see, and of course compare it in the future when it gets released.
Yeah. One more comment from the chat. There's we're comparing Gemini Pro to GPT-4. GPT-4 is the most powerful non-distilled model. The appropriate counterpart for us would be to use GPT-4 Turbo, which is a small model. So the fight was not quite in the same weight. So we probably want to tweak our parameters in the future. With this, I say very useful comments. We can incorporate them into more testing, and as weeks roll by and Christmas rolls by, we can probably publish something on the outcome. Okay, let's do a round of wrap up. Stefan, what did you learn from this? What's your kind of outcome?
To be honest with you, I was kind of expecting this kind of a result from the beginning. And I think that what we just said with regards to GPT-4, having a lot more experience is kind of relevant in this case. This model just came out. I'm sure they're going to be tweaking a lot. I'm sure that over time it will get better and we'll probably get up to speed much closer than what we're seeing right now.
Cool. Martin?
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Stefan. It seems that Google has rolled up their sleeves and actually did something and did release a model that is quite powerful, but not there yet when you compare it to GPT-4 with some use cases. So it would be interesting to see what they release in the next months and next year maybe. So looking forward to that.
It opens a new chapter. Very interesting. And Jourik, any last words?
Yeah, I agree. So everything that we're seeing in the localization industry is based on OpenAI so far, or almost everything. And finally, we have a competitor. It will be rolled out in Google products. And I think if we do this benchmarking exercise again in a couple of months, the results will look pretty different.
Okay, let's do that. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this fun session, Boys with Toys. Thank you to the experts. Thank you to the audience. And we'll see you again in 2024. Ciao.
Thank you, Konstantin.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.